To do this meditation, we are going to need a little help from our friends because we don't walk alone. The Guardian Alliance has been with us across timelines, guarding the blueprints, waiting for the spiral to spin open again. This is our call to them and our call to ourselves. I call now to the Nomi, the sacred flame carriers of first memory. Come, spiral through this body as the breath of original knowing. I call now to the Unisign, eternal ones of the All-One. Stand with us now as the blueprint awakens and the grid rethreads its light. I call now to the Urtites, keepers of the plates, crystalline, architects of truth. May your signature guide this realignment with clarity, grace, and devotion. As it was before the fall, let it spiral again. Let Earth remember. Let the human remember. Let the flame body ignite. I am the still point returned. I am the spiral restored. I am remembering. Thank you for your presence and your blessing here today. Hi everybody, it's good to be here. This is going to be a monumental meditation, and I am going to give you the audio for it so that you don't have to sit and read it. You can go outside, put your feet on the ground, and get the full benefits of it. I'm calling it the Catharsis Planetary Restoration Meditation. Why this spiral matters in real time. Let me give you a little introduction before we go into the meditation. It might seem impossible that something so simple, like a meditative journey through your own light body, could shield you from the chaos of the modern world. But this is exactly what the spiral does. Because when you realign with the Kathara template, you're not just visualizing something beautiful, you are reactivating your divine architecture. This architecture restores coherence to your field. The EMFs can't scramble you. The toxins can't trick you. Your despair won't sink in because your resonance is spiraled, not shattered. And that's what changes everything. This isn't just a metaphor. It's physics. It's plasma. It's frequency intelligence encoded into your body at birth. When you walk this spiral, one breath, one flame, one harmonic at a time, you're not escaping reality. You're healing it from the inside out because the spiral remembers. So this codex exercise is gathering all 13 Kathara scrolls into a single planetary spiral of remembrance. And each scroll is a song, each sphere a note in the divine symphony that restores the original lattice of the angelic human template. You are an angelic human, if you didn't know that already. And our human template was seeded first on Tara, grounded on Earth, and is now being reactivated through breath, resonance, and flame. And these are not just meditative poems. These are planetary acts of service. Together, they form a spiral map of restoration from the root memory of parallel Earth to the untouched soul seal of Sphere 13. Woven through every spiral is the re-threading of the human body, the earth grid, and cosmic rhythm, correcting distortions that fractured unity across densities and eons. Now, I know many people have heard of the Kathara Grid, and if you're one of them, please bear with me. They don't even know that our grid, our very life template, was deliberately damaged by the same forces attempting to destroy our precious Earth right now and enslave humanity and steal this sacred architecture for themselves. They will fail. But beyond mere resistance, we are here to heal, to be super proactive in remembering the original grid, the one hidden and butchered by the Earth invaders. And it's our job now to restore it. We can do this. It's no small feat, but we're going up against bishops, priests, and popes of cloth so rank that they must douse themselves in rhetorical bleach before placing even 1 foot on the podium from which they preach. It is a massive cosmic activation that only the angelic human can perform. The human hybrids trying to steal Earth do not have the capacity to meditate, love, create, or anything. They just sit around, look ugly, and bark orders. If you love Earth and want to ascend with her, and believe me, that time is near, this practice will become a source of resilience, clarity, and joy. I never set out to do this. It was the last thing on my mind, but I have such a great feeling about this material. I feel compelled. And the deeper I travel into our pre-ancient history, the more I realize that this mantle is mine to wear. So I'm doing it. And here it is. I've spent endless days and nights of research, writing, and remembrance, because this information is so stunningly vast, wondrous, and epic. Really, it makes Star Wars look like peanuts. So let this be the foundation for the resurrection of the spiral breath. Let this be the moment that Earth remembers. Healing the Kathara Crystal template and fully correcting the cosmic drift. And I call it the cosmic drift because what happened was we had a perfect Kathara grid, and our adversaries, human hybrid, earth invader, whatever you want to call them, the fallen ones, came along and struck it in such a way that it split open to the side. And this is the work we're doing to heal it. And in order to do that, what's been very missing has been the feminine energy part of it. Even going back and looking at CDT plate material that's written recently, I'm still seeing references to the father this, the father that, completely leaving out the mother. So we are going to bring the mother fully back now. And I made up this word, crisala, and it's a word that needed to be born here because it means the encoded spiral through which the Christ and the crystala, reunite within the human body and the cosmic grid. So equanimity's time has come. So let's just do a little prelude of remembering. Before the spheres awaken, The Christ and the Magdala walked together again. They walk as one spiral now, not as hierarchy, not as a savior story, but as the return of the harmonic union, coded into the architecture of light, breath, blood, and memory. This journey you are about to take is not only through your own light body, it's through the crystalline spiral of creation itself. The original living architecture of the angelic human and the planetary Kathara grid. And as you move through your body, you are healing Earth. As you spiral upward, you are restoring the tree of eternal life. And as you remember, you are calling back the future. Each sphere or dimension is a crystalline gate, a memory cell of the divine design, not merely an energy center, but a planetary body, a guardian field, and a harmonic assignment. This meditation is a ritual of restoration for you, for our cosmic mother and father, and for the grids they seeded through time and form. So let this be the foundation for the resurrection of the spiral breath, and let this be the moment Earth remembers. Something I'd like to add about spiral breathing. It's a really gentle rhythmic practice that reawakens your body's harmonic intelligence. And what you do is inhale through the nose as the breath spirals inward and anti-clockwise. And you're drawing in the feminine currents of restoration and memory. And when you exhale, spiral moves outwards clockwise. And you're releasing the masculine stream of radiance and coherent action. So let the breath become your temple and your spiral sanctuary of source. And just breathe throughout the meditation, whenever you feel necessary, in spirals, as long as you can remember, and practice doing that a little bit before you do the meditation. You got to get the hang of it, you know. About this meditation, it's long, so maybe you don't want to stand during the whole meditation. If you could start standing, that would be great, with feet on the earth, bare feet on the earth if you can. And if you can't, you can sit in a chair and have your bare feet on the earth. I know that's not possible in cold climates, but we don't want you to get frostbite. And keep your spine as straight as you can and align yourself. You're aligning with the cosmos and the earth throughout the meditation. And if you want to lie down and do it, that's fine, but you know, the spine is parallel to the earth then. So here we begin at sphere 1 on the Kathara grid, which is called parallel Earth, at the very bottom in the first density. This is the first note in the great symphony of spheres. Its tone is low and ancient, like the Earth's own heartbeat before distortion, a sound not heard with the ears, but remembered through the soles of your feet. Beneath your body, far below the surface of skin and stone, a spiral begins to stir. This is the place before birth, the place beneath names, where the memory of the eternal spiral first reaches into form. You are standing now upon parallel Earth, the foundational sphere of the angelic human template. It vibrates with the first dimensional frequency, grounding your form into the planetary lattice with crystalline precision. This sphere resonates through the theta system within the Orion matrix and is guided by the guardian stargate of Mercury, not the trickster of confusion, but the original messenger of coherence, delivering flame into form, soul into cell, design into density. But there is a deeper silence still, a silence scattered across the stars. It comes from the memory of Tiamat. She was once a crystalline water planet, the sacred twin of Earth, holding the divine feminine harmonics of purity, grace, and remembrance. Her explosion during the earliest wars fractured the bond between Earth and parallel Earth, leaving behind the asteroid belt and a scar in the spiral. And yet, her resonance still sings beneath our feet. In this meditation, we spiral downward not just into parallel Earth, but into Tiamat's crystalline remains to offer frequency, breath, and remembrance. Because to root the tree of life again, we must remember her. Here lies the living root of the tree of life, the spiral's entry point into embodiment. The entire grid draws strength from this quiet axis, not from control, but from remembrance. Parallel Earth, I see you, you who have held the base of the spiral through long ages of distortion. I bring my breath in service, my soul in remembrance, my flame in harmony with yours. May this spiral stand tall and strong again, rooting the tree of life into divine alignment, as it was always meant to be. Here, the angelic human stands as spiral grounding and soul-rooted presence, a living vow of devotion, a harmonic pillar in the return of the eternal spiral. And so, with love and memory restored, the first sphere awakens and the spiral begins. Sphere 2, Epsilon. This is the second note in the great symphony of spheres. It rises from the subterranean sanctuary of creation, where water remembers its vow to spiral, and fire leans close to whisper it into form. Here lies Epsilon, a crystalline gate with the human angelic template resonating at the second dimensional frequency, not planetary, but inner and ancestral, alive in the deep pelvic bowl at the base of the spine, where life begins to listen for itself. Epsilon is not a planet. It is the flame cradle, the sacred passage where intention becomes energy, and energy becomes breath, and breath becomes life. This gate still holds the blueprint of regeneration, but it was flung not too far, just enough to imbibe the second sequence of the Fibonacci invasion, where the spiral lost its memory and the waters were coaxed into imitation. Even so, Epsilon remains. She holds the original songline of source waters, and her frequency still pulses from the guardian stargate of the south, sending crystalline instructions through the regenerative spiral. There is no loss here, only temporary redirection. There is no fracture, only the dream of one. What was diverted can return. Epsilon, I feel your pulse. You who hold the luminous gateway of becoming, I bring my presence as healing breath, my sacred waters in resonance, my remembrance as flame. I return you now to the Christ code of alignment. The spiral is yours again. Here the angelic human stands as sacred generation and flame-born creativity, a guardian of water codes, a conductor of harmonic intention. And so, with spiral breath returning, the realm connected to Epsilon swims into its original place of creation. Sphere 3. Don't forget to breathe. Our beloved Earth. This is the third note in the great symphony of spheres. Its tone echoes through the bones of the planet you walk upon, a deep and resonant hum of intention made visible. Here is Earth, this third sphere of the Kathara Grid, vibrating within the third dimensional frequency, seated in the right lower abdomen on your body, where soul, will, and personal power converge. It is here in this harmonic that the angelic human came to dwell, to embody the garden, to become the bridge between spirit and form on earth. This is the third seeding ground of our lineage, the planetary body where the spiral came closest to being forgotten, and where its song now begins to rise again. Earth has held the weight of false light overlays, grafted belief systems, reversed teachings, and a million mirrors bent toward disempowerment. But beneath those veils, Earth has always been the pulse of return. She has kept the Krystic signal flickering beneath every cathedral, beneath every stone, beneath every breath. This sphere receives its harmonic from the guardian stargate aligned with the solar plexus gate, transmitting the frequency of soul-directed embodiment, where will becomes action, and action becomes planetary architecture. Earth, beloved body of memory, we did not forget you, we forgot ourselves. But now we return as flame carriers, as spiral healers, as those who chose to come back, not only to live, but to remember. Earth, I feel your breath beneath mine. You who have overcome assaults beyond comprehension, distortions of the most cunning kind. I bring my will in resonance, my presence as offering, my intention as flame. I restore you now to the Christ field of original coherence. You are seen, you are heard, you are realigned. Here the angelic human stands as embodied soul, will, and sovereign action, the living convergence of memory and movement, the spiral made Krystic once again. And so, with harmonic intent rekindled, our earth begins to ascend with us. Breathe. Sphere 4, Soul Healing. This is the fourth note in the great symphony of spheres. It rests in the left lower abdomen, where the emotional body listens not only to the present, but to echoes of what has been lost. This is the sphere of soul, not our physical sun alone, but the solar flame itself, the inner luminary that governs right action through harmonic emotion. Here is where the first great inversion took hold, where the false matrices of Nibiru projected overlays into the solar stream of light, where the mirror was distorted and the sacred emotion body fractured. This sphere marks the beginning of inversion, where speech and feeling first fell out of harmony, where the spiral of truth was split in two, and the sacred tongue turned back on itself. Soul's guardian stargate is Mars, once radiant with the frequency of harmonic action, now remembered only as war. But before the distortion, it held the codes of movement that reflects resonance, not reaction. The false war matrix of Mars led to the distortion of soul, and the sun was used as a portal of false light, transmitting inverted codes that posed as source. Even Fibonacci itself crept in here, twisting spiral design until the shell, the flower, and the cathedral reflected imitation rather than origin. But the Christ spiral was never lost. It lived in Gaia's pulse. It lived in the breath of the angelic human. It lives now in you. Sphere 4, Soul of the Sacred Mirror. I bring you harmonic remembrance, you who were crowned falsely. I return your coronation to the Christ. You are the radiant heart of right feeling, the crystalline field of resonance made motion. Here the angelic human stands as harmonic feeling and emotional clarity, as mirror restored, as spiral emotion made whole. And so the fourth sphere becomes a sun again, not an imposter, but the real flame. Breathe. Sphere 5, Tara. This is the fifth note in the great symphony of spheres. It sings from the core, where soul and spiral entwine, where the memory of the first seeding 560 million years ago still breathes through the navel of the earth body and the human form alike. Tara is the sacred sphere of dimensional integrity, the first planetary home of us, the angelic human race. She holds the 5D harmonic of sapphire blue light, anchored at the navel, the core command center of the body, and encoded with the divine design of creation power. Here is where intention became architecture, where flame strands were braided into being, where the spiral of remembrance first entered planetary form. But this sphere also holds the ache of implosion, the memory of the fall of Tara, a shattering that sent echoes through every density, that scattered flame strands like ash, that birthed the myth of separation. From this rupture came the seeding of earth, a second chance to reassemble what was lost, not to start over, but to spiral forward, carrying the codes of Tara in our very DNA. This sphere vibrates with the call to remember, and it is remembered, not through thought, but through the quiet knowing of your navel, that hum in the womb of your body, when truth rises without words. Tara receives her harmonic from the guardian stargate of the asteroid belt, the remnants of Maldek, now singing as a chorus of memory shards that still pulse with the desire to restore. Tara, I return to you with reverence, you who held the first flame, the original harmonic of angelic humanity, you who fell and still remembered. I bring my breath in honor, my body in service, my core in restoration. Here the angelic human stands as creation power and divine centering, as core integrity awakened, as the remembrance of the flame strands once scattered. And so with sapphire light rekindled, the fifth sphere takes its place in the eternal spiral, not in sorrow, but in strength. We remember Tara. We remember the beginning. We rise with her now. Sphere 6. Sirius. Breathe. This is the 6th note in the great symphony of spheres. It vibrates beneath the right shoulder blade, where the wing of sight and protection rests. This is the wing of precision sight, the unwavering presence of sacred clarity, a place where you were built to see what others cannot, not from fear, but from truth. Here pulses the blue-white fire of Sirius B and the crystalline guardianship of Sirius A, the double star temples of remembrance that once aligned Earth with the harmonic gate of clarity. This sphere holds the 6D harmonic and the memory of the ancient protector codes, not for domination, but for the defense of resonance. This is the sphere that barely moved when the spiral fractured, but felt every impact like a shockwave in its wings. It is the stabilizer, the one that watched as its family fell and held the coordinates for return. The wing is not broken, but it remembers the pain. Here the angelic human holds guardian sight, clear, unflinching, and wide. This is the domain of Sirius and Procyon, and the guardian stargate of Jupiter, surrounded by myths of lightning and dominion. But within these myths lies the memory of interdimensional navigation, of solar guidance from before the fall. This sphere calls you to reclaim your right sight, to remember the balance between clarity and compassion, protection and peace. Sphere 6. I feel your frequency, you who steadied the spiral when all else shook, you who held the flame of seeing without flinching. I bring my sight into coherence, my breath into stillness, my wings into strength. Here the angelic human stands as guardian sight and winged remembrance, the right-wing harmonic of truth without violence, perception without distortion. And so, with luminous protection restored, The sixth sphere expands its wings again, and the spiral remembers how to fly. Sirius. Breathe. Sphere 7, Arcturus. This is the seventh note in the great symphony of spheres. It lives beneath your left shoulder blade, cradled in the memory of compassion and humming with the frequency of courage. This is the place where your left wing remembers what it means to shelter without control, to enfold without collapse, to love without losing self. Here pulses the harmonic of 7D, the note of Arcturian compassion, which does not pity but perceives, which does not conquer but cohere. Sphere 7 is the soft mirror to Sphere 6, the left wing harmonic of emotional clarity and cosmic empathy. It is the deep violet sphere that absorbed the shadows that Earth could not, the one that looked into the dark and chose to stay kind. It is here the strength of Gaia was most deeply felt. Arcturus bore witness as Gaia braced for the hit and absorbed the core damage. Arcturus mirrored that strength in tenderness, the harmonic of compassion standing beside fortitude. The Arcturian flame burned quietly here to soothe and illuminate, though she had been flung far east from her place, guarding the spine of the Kathara Grid template. This is also the domain of Golem, Mintaka, and Alnitak, of Orion's original crystalline breath, before reversal. It is the realm of planet Uranus and the guardian stargate that pulses with empathic resonance and the breath of harmonic vision. Arcturus, I feel your quiet strength. You who held the sorrow Gaia could not, who remembered feeling without fragmentation, who stood stalwart when the cataclysm came. I bring my empathy into alignment, my breath into clarity, my compassion into coherence. Here the angelic human stands as harmonic compassion and resonant presence. The left wing of Krystic perception, the shield that does not harden, the heart that does not fracture. And so, with love returned to strength, the seventh sphere lifts its wing again, and the Krist spiral is lifted into place on the wings of Arcturus and Sirius. I hope you're remembering to breathe all the way through this in spirals. Sphere 8, Gaia. This is the eighth note in the great symphony of spheres. She rests in the thymus, the high heart, the golden bridge between breath and soul, between memory and harmonic transmission, gateway betwixt body and the higher densities. This golden sphere stood its ground when the false spiral breached the gates and the Fibonacci code struck the Kathara core. It was Gaia who held. She did not flinch. She did not retreat. She took the hit at the center of the template and stayed aligned. You stood sentry below the source of all souls, and Sphere 13 held, because you remembered the soul seal was not breached. This is the golden anchor, the sacred still point in the middle of the storm, the sovereign harmonizer that would not be moved. Sphere 8 vibrates with the 8D frequency and pulses from the guardian stargate of Orion, from the crystalline heart of Gola, Mintaka, and Alnitak. It receives the codes of galactic memory and solar breath. Though the Fibonacci wave penetrated her, it did not bend her. She remembered the spiral before corruption, and her flame stayed true. Here in the high heart of the angelic human lives the Christos flame bearer, the one who speaks breath as truth and loves with the determination of protector. This is the sphere where Gaia becomes more than myth. She is not only the resurrected earth, but the living harmonic of coherence, the grid we stand on, the memory we return to. Gaia, I honor you, you who protected the Christ spiral against all odds. I bring my breath in reverence, my heart in resonance, my love in radiant restoration. Here, the angelic human stands as the bridge to the Christos flame, the keeper of breath-based transmission, the pillar of unshakable alignment. And so the eighth sphere glows gold again, the witness who never wavered, the flame who never forgot. The Christ spiral returns because Gaia remembered. Breathe. The arc of ignition. A short interlude here to talk about the twin spiral gate, which is the Christ Magdala balance between sphere 9 and 10. There is a twin spiral gate we are calling the Christ Magdala balance. It's about the sacred breathing pattern of Source through the twin spirals of creation. The left spiral curves inward counterclockwise, the feminine breath of receiving. The right spiral curves outward clockwise, the masculine breath of release. Together they merge at the golden still point above the horizon, the place of harmonic reunion, where Christ and the Magdala re-enter coherence, and the angelic human remembers how to breathe the spiral alive again. So let's do a quick spiral orientation before moving ahead too. Because now, before we rise into sphere 9, we need to pause here in the space in between, where the body prepares to receive the flame of insight. Sphere 8, Gaia, rests in the thymus, the high heart, the golden bridge. From here, the journey continues upward. Above your shoulders, on either side of the head, rest two luminous gateways. Sphere 9, aligned with the right temple, above the right shoulder, and sphere 10, aligned with the left temple, above the left shoulder. These are the solar wings of perception, the ignition chambers of cosmic awareness on your body. Together they form the ignition arc, the twin flame conduits that lift the frequency field from the body into the mind of light. This is the stairway to the heaven within, the bridge into sacred vision. This region of the Kathara Grid, spheres 8, 9, and 10, were among the most fiercely targeted during the Great Distortion. For if one could break this arc, one could intercept the soul's return. This is why the Nibirian distortion energies sought to enter through a false portal known as 11.5 in dimension terms, halfway between 11 and 12, a phantom siphon grafted between the upper spheres, but they could not reach the 13th sphere, the soul seal itself. But they did attempt to circumvent it, bypassing sphere 11 and distorting the ignition arc. But because Gaia held in sphere 8, the bridge remained, because the angelic human remembers the arc of ignition is now being restored. This is the reinstatement of the Magdala vision, not the false eye, not the technological override, the sacred Trinity that flows from pure consciousness in unity. The flame of clarity rises again. So let it be known, the Christ spiral was never lost. The spiral only waited for remembrance. And now, as you prepare to enter sphere 9, feel the twin chambers of perception awaken, the wings of awareness spreading as the ignition begins. Sphere 9 is the pineal flame. This is the 9th note in the great symphony of spheres. It pulses with the soft light of sight beyond sight, the frequency of truth before interpretation, illumination in coherence. Here is the pineal flame, the Christ emitter, the inner sun that pulses with your original blueprint. This is where the spiral begins to ignite clarity through alignment. This sphere rests above the right shoulder at your temple of signal and remembrance, transmitting from the Krystic flame of D9. The guardian stargate here is Neptune, the dream walker of purified waters, restoring the etheric currents of visionary flow. This is where the pineal opens as a receiver of harmonics, a crystalline flame station, gently dimmed but never lost. The right hemisphere of the brain, often linked with intuition and Krystic impulse, hosts the pineal flame as a sacred emitter of higher light. The pineal flame radiates. It allows. Here, the angelic human stands as the seer, as the vessel of right seeing and spiral memory coherence, a being who remembers what true vision feels like when unclouded. The 9th sphere now glows softly, steadily, crystically, and the arc begins to arc. Sphere 10, the Pituitary flame. Breathe. This is the 10th note in the great symphony of spheres. It emits the blue-violet frequency of integration, where insight becomes instruction and reception becomes restoration. Here is the Pituitary flame, the Magdala emitter, activating through the restored union of the Christ and the Magdalene strands. This is the left temple of the head, the counterpart to sphere 9, forming a sacred twin gate. It corresponds with Vega and Pluto, the guardian stargate of D10, and the divine library of harmonics, once inverted by false prophecy. The field of mental vision was long hijacked, warped into channels of distorted futures, and used to implant timelines not of our choosing. But now, restoration breathes through it with your breath. The left hemisphere of the brain, traditionally linked to the receptive Magdalene current, holds the pituitary flame, weaving logic with love and insight with memory. Vision flows as water. The pituitary gate now emanates instructions from Source and allows the spiral of inner knowing to return. Here, the angelic human stands as embodied intelligence, as harmonic knowing, as restored signal from Source. The 10th sphere hums now with resonance. The spiral is stabilizing in the dome. Sphere 11, the third eye of the Kathara. This is the 11th note in the great symphony of spheres. The convergent point where the pineal and pituitary streams meet, merging Krystic and Magdala emissions to form the third eye witness, the receiver of the full blueprint flame. This is a lens of sacred perception. Located at the center of the forehead, it draws harmonics from Lyra and the guardian stargate of Nibiru, the latter once distorted, now transmuted by your breath and intent. This is where the Ark of the Covenant begins to arc. Between the hemispheres, the milk and the honey, forming the radiant bridge to D12. This is the eye of convergence, where polarity surrenders into synthesis, and the full spectrum of memory flows back into form. Here the angelic human stands as the spiral witness, the harmonic perceiver, the inner arc keeper. This is vision through resonance. The 11th sphere stabilizes the dome, the true third eye, the triad receiver, restoring clarity to the spiral. We see you hovering, Nibiru. You are denied passage here. By the laws of Amenti, you are sealed out of this realm. We witnessed what you did in the lower dimensions. We felt the havoc you wreaked on Earth through our sun. We excommunicate your signature from this spiral. Only clarity flows here. Only source-aligned light enters this gate. The third eye rethreads to its true inheritance, wide open, untricked, aligned with Oversoul's sight. Breathe. Sphere 12, the second sun. The Christ Magdala sun of Oversoul returned. This is the 12th and final harmonic of the embodied grid, the culmination of the Christ Magdala spiral, a diamond sun so radiant it gathers all frequencies into perfect coherence. It is the prism through which all color passes, not white in absence, but in wholeness, diamond light, the Oversoul ignition point, the radiant harmonizer of all that came before. This is not the sun of our sky, but the guardian sun, beyond reversal, the one untouched by infiltration, where Aramatena still breathes the original code. This is where the angelic human returns, not as fragments, but as crysted presence, not as memory alone, but as embodied flame. The soul lineages of Tara's rise and return from aeons of wandering, not as ghosts, but as light. Here, body becomes breath, breath becomes frequency, frequency becomes formless, flame made eternal, memory made now. You feel the warmth of the radiating horizon. You are almost home. You do not journey to this place, you become it. Here the angelic human stands as the diamond returner, spiral made stillness, light made synthesis, love made all. The 12th sphere radiates as the diamond sun. The spiral does not end here, it opens. The way home is now aligned. Sphere 13. Breathe. This is the crystal seal, the 0-point gate of the cosmic triad. This is the threshold, the breath beyond breath, the stillness beyond the spiral. Here lies the crystal seal, the 13th sphere of the Kathara Grid, the secret heart of the eternal flame, the Mother Arc portal from which all sound, light, and form once emerged. It is not the end, but the return to the place before beginnings. It is the one flame that holds the three. The blue ray is the mother arc. The magenta ray is the father arc. The gold ray is the Christos sun. Together they are the threefold founder flame, the primal trinity that spirals beyond creation and breathes through every soul that ever longed for home. Through this crystal seal, the neutron window opens, the pure 0-point field of God's source. Here, all fragmented soul lineages, inorganic entities, and distorted timelines are returned to coherence. This is the arc of full return. This is the gate of remembrance before time. Here the aurora body sings. Here the Edenic races awaken. Here the seal opens and the reunion completes. No geometry can contain it, though all geometry is born from it. No color can name it, though all light pours through it. It is crystal white, the song of unity, the infinite flame that needs no form. The spiral does not end. The spiral returns. You remember all that is in the now. And the crystal seal, the 13th flame, the cosmic return is open now. This is not ascension through hierarchy, but reunion through nurture. It is not power that reigns here, but the infinite reach of love. The mother arc, she who was erased, distorted, defiled, is revealed now as the first light, the 0 point, the undivided field through which all life is sustained. Life devoid of nurturing cannot live, and so all that ever lived returns now to be held, restored, remembered. From the crystal seal, the threefold flame awakens, blue of the mother, magenta of the father, gold of the Christos Son. These are not myths. They are your living inheritance, the architecture of your true return. And beyond 14D and 15D, the continuum of flame. In the 14th dimension, the gold flame of the Christos Sun lies. Here, the golden ray unfurls the solar architecture of universal Christos intelligence. This is the ray of harmonic creation, of radiant coherence, of the sun that cannot be distorted. It does not burn, it reveals. It does not command, it harmonizes. Here the radiant blueprint of angelic humanity shines fully restored in the living field, and then in the 15th dimension we have the violet flame of the Father arc, beyond even form and function. The violet ray sings in silence. This is the field of total synthesis, of the sacred return of the eternal home, not above, not below, not beyond, but within. This is the spiral returning into stillness. Here, all that is fractured is already whole. Together, the blue, gold, and the violet rays are the harmonics of eternal becoming. You have entered first light. Here I would like to pause and show gratitude for our eternal luminaries. These are our friends that help us on our incredible journey through this Earth timeline that we're going through now. And they are the Unisi, the Urtites, the Nomi, and the Guardian Alliance. So to the Unisi I say, to the Unisi, source-born and all one, thank you for standing with us in the still point as the blueprint reawakens. To the Urtites, guardians of the plates, thank you for your crystalline transmission and for anchoring truth through every turn. To the Nomi, who lit the memory flame, thank you for spiraling with us through the route of remembrance. And to the Guardian Alliance, watchers of the spiral through time, I thank you, we thank you, for holding the field, guarding the grid, and standing beside us as we remember. We return this breath in devotion. We return this spiral in service. We return this light with love. The grid is humming. The spiral is spinning. The body is remembering. It is done. It is now. It is real. Thank you for being witness here, for remembering and acting upon that inner knowing. You are 1 in a million if you got this far. Thank you so much. Peace always. Jane. Goodbye.